Good afternoon, everyone,
Good afternoon.
and welcome to Union County College. My name is Caitlin Valise, and I am from Union, New Jersey. I'm a business major. I am the Student Government Association Secretary, an ALC peer tutor, actively involved in Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and recently joined the Juggling Club and the UCC International Club. I am a full-time student as well as a full-time worker. Community college students come from all walks of life. Some of us come here straight from high school because we are unable to afford a four-year institution. Some of us come here to start anew, to reinvent ourselves, and train for new careers. There is no typical community college student. We all have our own story, our own path that we are following. I myself was at Union County College 6 years ago with a completely different major. After 1 year, I left because I couldn't afford it, and I was unsure if this was the path that I wanted to take. Last year, I decided that had to change. I saved up, and in spring of 2018, I was re-enrolled in Union County College with a new major and a new outlook. I wanted to make the most of my experience here by diving into everything that Union County College had to offer. I hope to graduate by May of 2019 and continue my journey to Drew University to further my business field, to further myself in the business field. Students like me often worry about the rising cost of tuition and how we will afford our education. This pilot program that Governor Murphy is announcing will allow students like me and many others to obtain a high-quality education without constantly worrying about our ability to afford tuition. New Jersey's community colleges, including the one we are all standing in right here, provide a great education at a good value. They serve as a pipeline to universities like Drew, Rutgers, Rowan, Seton Hall, and many more. Nonetheless, myself and many of my peers still cannot afford our tuition. That is why I am thankful to Governor Murphy and Secretary of Higher Education Zakiya Smith-Ellis and our legislators for creating and funding this program that will allow so many of us to go to school tuition-free. This program ensures that 13,000 of us can attend school and obtain an amazing education that makes us appealing to employers without having to spend that money that many of us do not have. I am excited that this pilot program is just a first step in an agenda that makes it very clear that students like me will be at the center of New Jersey's innovation economy. With that, I would like to introduce Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you, Caitlin. That was awesome. The other thing is you took my remarks with you. Can I have my them? Great job. Awesome. Wow. Let's hear it one more time for Caitlin. Yeah. Woo! Thank you so much for that extraordinary introduction and for your extraordinary life story. So best of luck here at Drew and into your entire future. I'm incredibly proud to stand with you, and I can't wait to see what great things are in store for you, not just here, but well beyond. So one more time, Caitlin. God bless you. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. What a great crowd, my Lord. President Maggie McMenamin, nice to be with you again. We bonded as Grand Marshals on a St. Patrick's Day many years ago, as McMenamins and Murphys sometimes do. Thank you so much for hosting us and for your leadership. This is one of the state's most impactful community colleges, and it's because of the work you and your terrific staff and faculty do here. And let's get it up for the Union County student body who are here today. I'm also honored to be joined today. She was already referred to by Caitlin, by our Higher Education Secretary, the one and only Zakiya Smith-Ellis is in the house. And the Director of the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority, David Sokolow. David, stand up and take a bow, please. Great to have you with us. We're also joined, I won't go by names, but I'm incredibly honored and flattered and humbled. I know Maggie and Zakiya and David are as well that so many other presidents have shown up today. So thanks to each and every one of you. This is a program that clearly touches this school, but it touches many in this state. I also want to give a shout out to Mayor Hannon. I want to give a shout out to the Vice Chair of the Freeholder Board, B.J. Kowalski, my dear friend, another dear friend, her colleague, Freeholder Bruce Bergen, among others, and to everybody here today. Honored to be with you. And we have got some exciting news. The budget we signed nearly 3 months ago laid out the first steps toward our goal of making community college tuition-free for all New Jerseyans. Through this $25 million investment, we launched the Community College Innovation Challenge, inviting our state's community-based centers of higher education to give us their ideas on how they would move the ball forward. And today, we have results. I am grateful that every single one of our 19 community colleges applied, and that's a good thing. And because of the deepening commitment we saw, every single one of the 19 will receive a $250,000 grant to enhance their student outreach to the likes of Caitlin and many others, recruitment and support efforts, and to build capacity for the future expansion of the program that we're announcing today. But on top of that, of those 19, I'm honored to announce the 13 community colleges whose students will further benefit from the first ever community college opportunity grants. There's a reason why we're at Union County College. Congratulations, Maggie. UCC is one of the 13. Now, we don't always get it right, but you should have assumed that we wouldn't have held the event here unless UCC was one of the 13. I'm just saying, you know. It will be joined, it is joined in this program by Atlantic Cape Community College. Yeah. Bergen Community College. Camden County College. Cumberland County College. Hudson County Community College. Mercer County Community College. Middlesex County College, Ocean County College, Passaic County Community College, Rowan College at Gloucester County, Salem Community College, and Warren County Community College. Yeah. Now this is what we're talking about. Students at these schools who come from families with adjusted gross incomes of up to but not over $45,000 per year, so total income at most $45,000 per year in your family. You're enrolled at least half-time. That's another prerequisite. You'll receive grants that which will cover the remaining costs of tuition and fees after other aid is applied. You follow me on that? So if you got 3/4 of the way there, we're taking you the last quarter home today. I got 4 kids, by the way, 2 in college, 2 in high school, so I got to get this off my chest as well. And these students will be required, I don't want to sound too much like a dad here, to maintain satisfactory academic progress to remain eligible. So folks, you can't mail it in. New Jersey's community colleges play a critical role in building the skill set needed to meet the demands of a growing, diverse, and innovative economy. Our goal is to set New Jersey on a new economic trajectory, one that creates good jobs at good pay, which will strengthen our middle class and is based on innovation and forward-leaning companies. These companies will need a skilled workforce, the workforce being built at our county colleges. Every New Jerseyan deserves an equal opportunity to pursue their dreams, whether it be the high school graduate looking for her first break or the older student returning to gain new skills for a new career. Amen. And by the way, I think a lot of folks out there don't get this. They missed a meeting. They don't understand that last cohort I just referred to, in many cases, is the biggest cohort at a school. Everybody thinks everyone's 19 or 20 at these schools. Now, we got a lot of 19 or 20 years old, but we got a lot of 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that's why, in total, why our community college system was created in the first place. We need to return to the ideal that if you work hard, you could get ahead and achieve your greatest potential. Things like your background or your current economic status should not ever be a roadblock to success. Period, full stop. And now, for a growing number of worthy students, they won't be. It is now my pleasure to introduce the president of Union County College, Dr. Maggie McMenamin.
Thank you, Governor Murphy. On behalf of the faculty, the staff, our Board of Trustees, our Board of Governors, and over 20,000 students who come here every year for another opportunity for a better life, we want to welcome everyone to Union County College, but we want to send a special welcome to our Governor Phil Murphy and the Secretary of Higher Ed, Zakiya Smith-Ellis. You know, our mission at Union County College, we love talking about our mission, and our students know it. We are transforming our community. And they know it, but now we have a governor who understands the value of a community college education. We have a governor who is willing to put the money and the support to help our students and students at every one of our 19 community colleges, putting New Jersey on the path to tuition-free community college is a game changer for the state of New Jersey, and we're delighted to be here hosting this event. You know, we're known as, some of you may not know this, but community colleges are known as democracy's colleges. And that's because we give people a path to the middle class. We are all about economic mobility. Individuals who are born in New Jersey into poverty or into lower income families or working class families have an opportunity to move to the middle class because of the work in each one of the 19 community colleges in New Jersey. Now we have a governor who understands it, and it is a game changer. Welcome and thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Maggie. Just do me a favor. Don't ever run against me for office, Maggie. Jesus. I got all wound up. I started choking up back there. That is awesome. All kidding aside, you and your fellow presidents do an extraordinary job, and it is literally, I was going to say hidden. The system is a hidden gem. It's not so hidden anymore. And the fact of the matter is the state hasn't been there sufficiently for you. And today, among other things, we're making a statement, not just in words, but in dollars, cents, and action, that we're going to be your full-bore partner. So, thank you. I had the honor not only getting elected last year, but immediately you have to go into transition. And you have to put a team on the field. And in some cases, there's deep New Jersey understanding of policy issues. And you probably, in my case, I probably had gotten a chance to meet that person or persons, depending on the field. In other cases, you realized you had to get someone who had a little bit of Jersey in them, but also had a broader, in this case, national sense of the trends in higher education. In this case, particularly in affordability and accessibility, not just to community college, but to higher ed generally. She worked in the Obama White House. She is in the education field far and wide viewed to be a rock star, and I'm a first witness in calling that, in making that assessment. It is my honor to introduce you the Secretary of Higher Education, the one and only Dr. Zakiya Smith-Ellis.
So this day has been a long time coming. We fought long and hard to be able to get New Jersey on the path to offering tuition and fee-free community college for students for some time. And I am excited. I'm so excited. I mean, Maggie was like more excited than I could have been, and that's amazing because I'm pretty excited about the work here today. I just want to say, though, this is the first step. So we got 13, but we wanted to have all 19 colleges. And I will say I've talked with and read applications from every single college, county college, that submitted an application. And it shows just how much every college is committed to making college more affordable for their students. And when I see the work that's going on in the north, in the central part of the state, in the southern part of the state, I am just tremendously honored to be able to work with all of you. And I'm looking forward to working with the legislature and all of you to make sure that next year we are able to touch every single student at a college across the state. So wanting to say, just looking forward to what comes next. The last thing I'll just mention, because Maggie and the governor got all the big news out of the way. The last thing that I will just mention is that there's a lot that we can learn in this phase to make ourselves stronger. So as we move forward, it's going to be even better next year, and we're going to be able to touch even more students across the state. I am just so thrilled at this step, though, and come January, people are going to look at their term bills and see that they don't have anything extra to pay for the tuition and fees, which is just amazing. So yes, yes, yes. And I've got to shout out again David Sokolow and the team at HESA, who've been tremendous partners to the Office of the Secretary. So thank you all. And
Thank you. One or two observations, if I may piggyback on Zakiya and Maggie's comments, and then we'll take a couple of questions, is we hope to learn this year. So it's a $25 million investment. About 20 of it is going to the 13 colleges for that last dollar for the $45,000 income and under crowd. And by the way, some folks will say that they're already covered. It turns out there's a shocking number of folks who aren't. We think in total this will touch 13,000 students, 13,000 students beginning in January. So it's a big number. And you may have heard me say when all other aid is applied. So it also turns out, as the presidents know, that not everybody does all of the applications for other aid, like a Pell Grant, that they should be doing and need to do. So this comes in after that. So when you think about it, this money goes even potentially further because of that cohort of folks. They have to now go back. It's very easy to do, but we want to make sure that they've gotten all the other aid they can automatically get, in many cases from the federal government. And then we come in. Last comment, so we learn from this. This is going to be an extraordinary laboratory for us. It'll, at the same time, impact a lot of lives for the good. How could you see it expanding in the future? Zakiya just referred to all 19 colleges, so you could see it broadening in terms of the amount of colleges that will be impacted. And again, it's broken up right now. All 19 get the $250,000 to promote this, that this is coming. 13 of those 19 get the actual money this year, beginning in January. So you could see this program in the future, and if we find the resources, and resources in this state are precious, so God willing we'll get there sooner than later, both broadening into more schools, but also deepening in terms of the income levels. Because $45,000 in adjusted family income ain't exactly putting you on easy street. So there are a lot of families and folks who want to access this, who can't afford it, who have families' incomes above that. So broadening and deepening are the two ways that with resources we hope, once we learn and really understand this, we can go forward. Is that fair? That's fair? We'd love to take a couple of questions before we break. And thank you all so much for coming out in such size. One, two.
Senator, the audit for NJ Transit, I believe, is due shortly. Could you talk a little bit about, the recent actions that they've taken, your feelings about this, how the audit may be going, and what you see coming up in the next couple of months?
Yeah, this is off topic, I assume? Just checking. It is coming up soon. Danny, do you know when it's actually due?
It's going to be
within the next month. So you're absolutely right. It's within the next month. I don't know for sure what it will say. Too many folks are frustrated. By the way, we're in a commuter-heavy area right here in this town and in this county. So I don't have to tell you that if you're using NJ Transit, particularly the rails, although buses are incredibly important to our system as well, you're frustrated, I suspect, more often than not, and I don't blame you. So am I. It's unacceptable. We inherited a mess. Good news, we're fixing it. one day after another. And I'll tell you something, I now have even more confidence than the last time even one of you asked me about this. It will be fixed. It won't be overnight, but we're putting in a massive federally mandated system called positive train control, which will make, we run a safe system, but it'll make it even safer. That mandate came down in 2011. We were 13% of the way there when I had my hand on the Bible. We're now deep into the 60% of the way there. That will end on December 31st. We will get there by then. That will be behind us. We had allowed our engineering community to dwindle to a point where we have very few degrees of freedom. We had classes canceled in the past, classes furloughed. No more. We have to deepen the pool of engineers. We recently got the permission to go to out-of-state folks. One part of the audit I'm looking forward to seeing, and I don't have any sense yet of what it will say, I'd like to see what they say about the training regime. Because right now it takes 20 months from scratch to train an engineer in our system. I want to make sure they're properly trained, but I'd love to see whether or not there's any input in there. And by the way, I'd love to see us doing more of that seriously hand in glove with the community colleges. No reason not to. But folks are frustrated. I don't blame them. I am too, but I will tell you this unequivocally. And by the way, I wish nothing but the very best to New York City. And in many respects, as it goes, so does the region go, and that includes New Jersey. I heard from somebody or read the other day that it will take $35 billion to fix the subway system in New York. And I hope they get it done, by the way, because we need New York to be strong. We are not where we need to be, let there be no doubt about it. But the path forward, the reality of what it will take to fix NJ Transit is completely within us, and we will get there. I have one. Yep. Who else said there? Yeah, please. I haven't been asked yet on the latter, so I'll wait till we're asked. On the former, at one level, when this first happened, when this resignation happened, it was there were some decisions our administration had to make. I'll come back to that in a second. We've made those decisions. This is now completely in the hands of Bergen County. This is out of our hands. So the question, is there enough time, et cetera, I think my understanding is October 4th is right, by the way. That's a decision for the county. What decisions do we have to make as an administration? And this is my office. It's the Attorney General, who was actively involved, by the way, former Bergen County prosecutor, Secretary of State in particular, make two choices. Number one, what does the statute say about whether or not we should appoint someone or whether or not this triggers an election? And according to the experts who looked at this, this was unambiguous. It triggers an election. Secondly, kind of a subset of that first question, between now and that election, do we have the right team in place managing the Sheriff's Department? And again, I'm speaking for the Attorney General, the prosecutor under whose tight orbit this now stands. The answer is between now and that election. The answer is yes. The team in place is fully capable of managing it. I don't know the answer on the who's paying for it. I'll have to come back to you. Please. It certainly can't hurt. I mean, I am going to give I'm going to unveil, it sounds like a statue, but I'm going to unveil a master plan. I said master twice, a master economic plan on Monday. And a big part of our aspiration is going to be education and workforce development. And one of my Bibles that I've been sort of adhering to, particularly as it relates to the innovation economy, is a study that McKinsey did a couple of years ago called Reseeding the Garden State. And in it, it made an observation which is quite striking. When you think of the innovation economy, you think of Bell Labs and PhDs and Nobel laureates, and it is that too. But increasingly, as Zakiya and I have spent a lot of time talking about, it's the middle skills jobs that are really good paying jobs that are high value added. And guess what? Invariably, they're going to be folks who went through a school like this. And that's where, according to McKinsey, we're going to have the biggest shortage if we're able to reboot that economy. And I'm completely convinced, in fact, we are doing that right now. So that makes this particularly compelling. The more folks we can get into the system who otherwise couldn't afford it or are taking too long. I know many of the students here are living this. It's not just binary, do I have the money to go to UCC? It's, can I do it in 2 or 3 years versus it's taken me 6 or 8 years because I have to work 30 or 40 hours a week in order to get that done. So it's an essential ingredient to our future. Please.
Governor, so again, this started off with $100 million and it went back down to $25 million. Are you committed to, in this next budget, bringing it back up to that $100 million? Obviously, you'd like to see that. And separately, on another piece of legislation, are you frustrated at all about how the legalized pot keeps on getting, the deadline seems to keep on getting pushed further and further away?
Just real quick, I know legalized pot is of no interest in this room, so I'll gloss right over that. I think on the former, Matt, too early to tell. We actually are pleasantly surprised by how far the $25 million is going to take us. Is that fair to say, Zakiya? But we'd like to get more resources to take us more. I'm not in a position today, particularly given, and I really mean this, and I think David and Zakiya and Maggie and the other presidents would agree, we're in sort of a new laboratory. Let's see how this goes. On the latter, I'm not as frustrated. There are some reports out there, or quotes from people that are implying that this is being dramatically delayed. I haven't actually seen that yet. We're in a pretty high degree of interaction between our folks as well as the leadership teams in both the Senate and the Assembly. And we all want to get it done. We want to get it done right. And that's adult use, it's medical marijuana, and it's also the look-back elements in terms of what we're going to do to correct the past. Please, one, two, and then we'll go. I thought you meant, I still have my mind in, around the Trenton bubble. I have only glancingly this morning, but I've spoken to a lot of folks and I've gotten, a lot of news feeds. And I guess you didn't ask it, but what's my reaction to this? And let me just say, before Dr. Ford I ever heard of her, I was flat out 100% against Kavanaugh as a Supreme Court justice. So this hasn't, whatever is happening right now is not changing my opinion. Let's put it that way. Secondly, it's not just this morning. I understand she's got extraordinary courage. Who could say otherwise? That she's incredibly credible by any assessment. And this prosecutorial mindset and the presumption that you're guilty as a woman who raises her hand and says something happened to me ought to have all of our hair on fire, not just women, but men and women. It's completely unacceptable. It angers me deeply. Again, the presumption is, Dan and I were talking about this. Well, I think it was, you claim you don't like flying, but how did you get here today? Well, who the hell are you to ask that question? Come on. The presumption is they're picking at her case to try to call her out, try to prove that she's not telling the truth. The presumption ought to be she is telling the truth, and let's start from there. So I'm of sort of a torn between he ought to just pack up and leave town, or at a minimum, let's put a real, full-bore investigation by organizations like the FBI that do this for a living. And by the way, what's the rush to judgment? And we all know what the answer to that question is. This is a lifetime appointment, by the way. This is not like electing somebody who's going to have a 2-year term or a 3-year term. You get another bite at the apple. This is a one-way ticket, and we better damn well get it right. Lynn, did you have a question? Correct. Yep. Good question. Probably too early to tell. It's a very fair question. I was going to say this to one of the questions. It might have been, it wasn't yours, Lynn, but it might have been Matt's or someone a minute ago. But do you have enough time in that laboratory to make assessments? My gut tells me we'll know enough. You know, my bias is going to want to have more resources. That's going to be where I'm starting. By the way, feel the electricity in this room. I mean, you kind of know what back to the Supreme Court. I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. This is popular. Am I not right? So I personally, and it's not partisan either. It ought to be something that both sides of the aisle say, you know what? This makes sense. So I'm banking on that. We've also got what's that? Yeah, we're going to see enrollment numbers. Zakiya and David and presidents like Maggie, we're going to be in very close conversations and see whether or not this is moving the needle. And there probably are tweaks that we don't have all the answers, but it feels to me like we'll know enough. My bias is going to want to be to put more in, but let's not prejudge that. I want to conclude by giving a shout out. I don't think he's here though, right? So is tomorrow's last day? Yeah. So Phil Gregory, who's been an extraordinary member of the press, is hanging up his spikes tomorrow. And he came by. We did ask the governor last week, I believe. And he came by to give me a shake, and we had a glass of apple cider, by the way. I think it was, in case you're wondering some of the answers I had on Ask the Governor, you might think it was spiked, but it wasn't. But Phil Gregory is one of and I know his colleagues in the journalist community will agree wholeheartedly with this. He's a guy, like so many of the women and men who come to work every day as journalists, who did the job right. In an era, I don't want to have you confuse me with somebody else who talks about fake news, but in an era of innuendo, of non-research, not primary source research, checking sources, really doing the deep work, in addition to being an incredibly eloquent, gifted speaker and writer, journalist. Nobody has done it better than Phil. We wish him nothing but the very best in his retirement. Maggie, thank you so much. To all the presidents, Caitlin, thank you. Zakiya, David, everybody else, let's go get them. Take care. Thank you, guys.